hello Marga.
Hello.
Thank you for being my first guest on the Essence of Sport.
Yeah, no, my pleasure.
Today, to introduce the show, we will retrace your career as a synchronized and artistic swimmer. And to do that, I will engage your 5 senses to be able to bring you back to an important, significant moment of your life. I know you are a competitor. I know you love challenge. So are you ready?
Yes. Haven't been wearing one of these forever.
If you want to give me your hand, okay, I'm gonna give it to you. This way.
This ones.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what it means to you?
This, that's for someone can be like, oh, to eat. For us, it's just the most useful tool in the water because we always 8 goals in the team, but you have reserves and you have to count. So when we are 8, you do sometimes the goal that is really far away from you cannot hear you. So the 9th goal that is not, like actually doing the choreography, she uses this to tap. Underwater, I don't know why, it makes like an extra effect that you can really hear really loud. So the 2 spoons that we had, it was completely like almost like broken, but because they're metal, they don't really break. And it's just like such an amazing tool. I never saw it before I moved to Barcelona with the Olympic team.
How it is when you are underwater during a competition and people just cheering and you have the music.
That's fascinates me about my sport. So you do a lot of work, before competition to make sure the choreography is something that is super internal. Like you already can do the choreography almost without thinking about it. So then when there's other factors, that is people screaming, other teams counting, music, underwater music that maybe is not your music, then you're focused on your rhythm. Because of this, for example, you know that that's your rhythm. You can have another one, but it might be another rhythm because everyone has their own. So it's like almost like a mental work of the focus on that time is like super high, because as soon as you click off, then yes, you get lost, you hear them the screaming of other teams, so it's really important in that moment to be with your team. And I think you get used to too. You get used to the chaos and know like, this is my moment. I have 30 minutes practice. They're really short normally practices in competition. So I need to stay really focused.
What is your story with synchronized swimming? How it start for you?
I think it was a beautiful start. I actually, coming from Mallorca, there's public pools everywhere. And we used to live really close by one of the pools. And I remember going there for swimming lessons. And my neighbor used to do synchronized swimming. She was 5 years older. So I remember always finishing my training and I started to see their trainings. I think I was 6 years old. And I told my mom, or I think she told me, do you want to try? I was like, yeah, why not? But it actually wasn't even I wasn't a dancer. It was just something about being able to do those things in the water. Because I really knew how to swim. I think maybe I thought it was a little bit boring, just like swimming laps. So I literally went, did the tryout. You just basically have to swim a few laps, and they were like, yeah, you're in. So that's how I started practicing because of my neighbor. And then from them, I just started my practices every day until I moved to Barcelona, and then I joined the national team.
How do you learn and how do you manage your breathing?
Mentally, it's really hard to understand, like you cannot get out to breathe. I guess depends too, like you get used to, like obviously more training, your lungs expand more and then you find it easier, but it's always hard. I feel like it's a sport where your last thought probably is coming out of the water to grasp some air because you would stay under no matter what. That actually reminds me back in the show when I used to work in Las Vegas. I had a moment where my air of line broke because we used to breathe underwater for a long period of time for choreographies, and they always tell you the first thing you do is just you say you're okay or tap for help, but then come out and breathe. But in my mind it was still the last thing. So I remember I had a diver to like give me some air, but I was almost at the last oxygen that I had. And then when I got out of the show, actually they told me like, why you didn't come out and breathe? And I was like, I'm so sorry, it wasn't like something that I'm used to. And that's how used to you get just to hold that air. But obviously at the end, it's about practice, training, consistency, and everything gets better.
I imagine the singer when he's on a show, on a concert, if he sing and dance, it's hard because it's performance, so it's kind of the same.
Yes, I think the singer, it will be even more. I know, because then they hear you on the microphone. No, I mean, for a synchronized swimmer, it can happen two things. Like it happened not long ago with one of the swimmers, US team. Like either sink, and then obviously they come get you because the coach knows probably that you are kind of like, not doing what's right, or you come out. Normally you don't come out and you kind of faint because it's such a high level that you wouldn't come out. But it's true, like sometimes when the little ones that you see them, sometimes some of them come out because maybe when they want to come in, another girl kicked, got some water inside the throat, couldn't breathe some air. So it's honestly like such a hard thing to do. And I think it's just the only way you learn is happening. It's okay. Next time, you just continue. So because of that, you just learn to continue no matter what. It sounds awful and super cruel, but it's like everything. I could be like this forever. Right.
Can you tell me more about the song?
So this actually really one of the most beautiful choreographies we created, I think, back in the time, 2009. First, because nobody kind of put like some, Led Zeppelin for a choreography. It was more like into classical music, like Russia or Ukraine, always using those. And second, because it was so fun to create. It was a choreography that actually we won the World Championships. We won the gold medal. I just remember loving it so much. It was a competition. It was in Rome. It was sunny. It was hot. I had so much fun. Like just the rock and roll, like it's just like the end, like how you start the beginning. It was so calm. This song has all the rhythms that you can imagine. It was actually really hard to learn how to count it because of even the cuts of the music, how Led Zeppelin does his songs. It's just like how he made them. So it was really interesting for me learning those and just like swim that energy with the team. I think it's just something I could never forget.
You mentioned when you won at this time, you were 18?
18 years old. So I moved to Barcelona when I was 15 and I couldn't really understand. Like I was like, my life always been that opportunities I take, I'm just going to try and see. Otherwise, you can always go back home. The same year I got a national champion in Spain and I couldn't even believe it, like how this happened. Obviously it happened because I started to train more recognition. And then with us then going to 2008, the team won the silver medal in the Olympics. I was part of the team already. I didn't go. And then there was this change of swimmers where I actually had the chance to join the team after the Olympics 2008. I was like, okay, this is my chance. I'm just going to be part of the team. I have to fight hard. And the World Championships of Rome was that year, 2009. And I was part of the 3 teams. And I think it was something beautiful how I got there. So I learned so much that year of the older girls of the team that I really enjoyed, like having that commodity of like, okay, I just have to follow along this amazing team that I just joined.
How it is to start a career, and in that case, an athlete career at a young age?
To start an athlete career, I'm speaking for Spain because that's my experience. As soon as you get good enough to go to the training center, it does get easier in a sense of, you don't have to pay, for example, the residency, you sleep there. So this federation or, the government pays for those things. So for me, it was a really easy move because I was like, okay, like in that moment, I didn't have anything to lose. If you really want it, I don't think it's hard. It's just obviously like another change in your life. It does change the way you train because it's not like you wake up and you go to school. First, you wake up and you go training, then you have breakfast, then you go to school. It is changing a lot of these things, but I thought it actually was really beautiful because at the end, you share a school with so many athletes, in so many different sports. And now I still see them on competition or on TV. One thing, it is true that a small minority sport like it's synchronized swimming, if you don't get results, you don't get money. So it's always that pressure of you have to make results and you have to win medals to get money. So that way, you can create an independent life in the future.
A lot of athletes, because they started at a young age and you have to train, you have to, it's pretty, not military, but kind of. And then suddenly you are retired and you are like, who am I? So how it was for you?
Retirement is such a hard thing. Some people will say like, oh, just go and work, do whatever. But that's not true. First, I represented my country for so many years. I represented the sport and I've been doing something really valuable. My biggest advice is start working from before. The second advice is like, you have to start trying new things. Your routine is not going to be the same. For me, it took time to realize. I actually retired a few times. My show closed for COVID and then I felt lost again. So I didn't know what to do. But then I signed up for yoga certification. So I did that. I done another certification now and figure out what you like to do. And then those values that you learn, how many values an athlete can have? It has a commitment, it has the teamwork, it has the consistency. All that, it can be transferred to a job. I think we deserve to be recognized for what we done before, and not just like, oh, well, you're in the real world now, so you're on your own.
When I started this type of videos, one person told me like, oh yeah, it's interesting that during the Olympic and then when the Olympic is done, do you think someone will care about the athletes and everything? And I was like, wow, actually it's tough because they are human after all.
People forget that there is World Championship, World Cups, Europeans, there is so many different competitions. Yes, the Olympics is so special because it's just once every 4 years. And to get there, you have 4 years of preparation on those competitions show that you can make it to the Olympics. I think now that obviously the mentality is changing on that because there's more social media. People knows more like, the competitions and the seasons and different sports. What social media brought to our sport, especially minority sport like synchronized swimming, and also for sponsors. Back in the time, we had no sponsors. And then if you start getting recognized, that's just soloists, the girl that probably swims a solo, not the whole team. There was money back then for the whole team, right? It was completely different. So I'm happy that now actually people can show their day-to-day. Now it's more like understandable, and I think people connect more with athletes just because of that.
But I think you're right. It's about visibilities too, because as a European too, like we know soccer. Yeah, on every TV screen and they are everywhere for every kind of competition. But for the Olympics, okay, it's a big thing, but you're right. Yeah. You have other competition during the year. So
yeah, I always kind of hated soccer a little bit because, you don't get recognized as them. But at the end, it's just about the audience. So obviously brings more audience, brings more money. But I think it's a knowledge now that people are starting to understand how hard it is, And now I see more athletes after becoming moms do like training and showing themselves that they can do it again. And I think that's beautiful. I think something in the past it happened, but just we don't have the names. We can do research, but because there was no social media, people doesn't really realize that, how hard it is to be a woman and an athlete too. So much harder than being a man, that's for sure.
So I'm going to bring you back to your retirement transition. Okay. Just to ask you, because I imagine, maybe I'm wrong, when you introduced yourself in the past, you were maybe like a Marga, synchronized swimmer, artistic swimmer. So now you find yourself, and how do you present yourself?
So that took me a lot of work. Now I'm Marga, I'm a mom of Leo, and I'm an Olympic medalist, synchronized swimmer. A year ago wasn't that easy because I felt like I had to excuse myself why I'm not working maybe a full-time job, or why mom, it is a job. So obviously I said super proud now that I'm a mom and I'm an athlete because I've always been an athlete. I recognize and I understand the water more than anyone else. I teach kids actually to swim, how to swim. But some people will tell me that because I don't have a degree on sports science, maybe I cannot do it, right? And that's not true. Sometimes I felt like low confidence, how we can feel. I think it's completely normal, athlete, to feel that way. I felt so many times I couldn't say, who am I? I think becoming a mom too makes you like have all these, change your mind feelings again. It's like the retirement will be like finding yourself and finally now I can say it, and I'm good about it. I don't feel bad. Really strong, huh?
Already?
I thought it was more natural. We're keeping close. That 100% chlorine water, and it just brings me so many memories. I don't even know where to start, but like these covered pools where you hear the public, you know, the pool like splashing, kids, coaches screaming, with the smell, with the heat. I love a pool. I think it's just part of me and where I grew. Spent most of my time in the pool, even when I was a kid. So in the pool, or obviously in the Mediterranean Sea. So this is just part of me. I probably have like some inside my pores that you cannot really remove anymore of chlorine. We always used to joke about, what's your smell? I thought, oh, the chlorine, of the chlor, we used to say, because it was like 100% chlorine. Even if I showered, I used to smell always like chlorine.
And do you have a preference for salt water, how it smells, or chlorine, or whatever?
Salt water pools makes you float more. So those ones don't really exist in a lot of places. Normally we do a performance or something special in a salted pool. That is because it's just like a private home, or we've done a lot of performances, you know, on parties for private events for people. It used to be more that kind of pools. For a competition pool, it's 100% chlorine. So, but we were happy sometimes to try salted pools because obviously you float much more. Can't wait to go to Mallorca this summer because I can do things in the sea, and I float so much that I actually feel the difference. So yeah, I really miss either like chlorinated pool or like salty sea from the Mediterranean where you can actually swim.
I met a lot of athletes who don't want to deal with their thoughts anymore. How to keep the patience?
I couldn't really practice my sport for a little bit after I retired. Even if I ended up in a good way, you're kind of mad because there was reasons that you retired. You try to switch off from that part and a little bit to find your new self. You do have to reset. But then there's something beautiful. Any sport, doesn't matter. You do that because you love it and there's something special about it and you're great. Getting in the water, then for me, feeling that peace, that silence, that floatability where, you know, your body can almost like relax. Then I start to realize again, like, okay, I really like this. That brought me to actually create new choreographies for Colombia once I retired, and traveling there with the duet and keep connecting to my sport but in a different way. I think it's understandable feeling just, you know, leaving your sport for a little bit before you kind of reconnect and bring it back again.
What does your sport represent in your life?
A sport is my life. I mean, water is my life. Like synchronized swimming has been the reason why I'm here today. When they tell me what could you, you know, possibly change in your life, now I don't really think about anything, because obviously once you turn a mom and you have a beautiful like kid, you don't want to change anything, because whatever you've done until that point, it made you a mom of him. So sport brought me the most beautiful experiences, trips, teammates and friends, sisters, people around the world, work in the best show ever, like have the most incredible job, which I never thought I would have, and work because of my sport, come to another country, discover opportunities. So many things. I just can't thank enough to my sport. So I will always be thankful, even if it's not an easy path, for sure. So, I mean, bread, anything gluten.
So just to help you, it's similar to crackers.
I mean, the only thing I think of that obviously I miss a lot, and it's like that, is the quelitas. It just reminds me to where I actually come from. I used to smash those crackers with, you know, chocolate and milk, which is called colacao, like a cocoa powder from Spain, and just eat bowls of that. And I almost can't wait. I'm gonna feel sick after I do it in Spain, but I almost need to go back to it, because It's just something that it takes you back to your roots. And also because it's where I learned how to swim and how to be an athlete there. Is where actually my coach taught me everything, because my first coach is the one I have to thank everything. I didn't have an easy childhood with my family. My mom, my dad got divorced when I was really young, and my coach was almost like my mom and support too. Even then, after a lot of years, even calling her, like crying a lot of time, like this is hard. She always reminded me why I was there. That childhood moment, I think, it really builds you, later on in life. But when you're young, you pass some kind of traumas with your family that you can have that problems, but sport helped me to switch off of that and have people that actually supported me, because I was so consistent. Like, one thing I couldn't miss was practice. I wasn't doing just practice. I was doing therapy. I was doing a lot of things there. And then that brought me to actually be talented enough to be able to go to Barcelona and join the national team.
Are you sometimes homesick from Spain or Mallorca?
I am, because now having a kid and growing here by ourselves, we really miss a lot of our cultural part of Spain and Italy. We're really similar. So it's tough. The United States is more like an individual country, harder to make friends. So I do miss some things. Obviously, we try to go once a year at least to see them. You do get homesick, but at the same time, I think I'm really grateful to come from another country and be able to compare it. There's a lot of people that will never maybe be able to do that. And I feel lucky enough that I can actually have, things to compare. And I can choose to go back to Spain if I really want to. And my son was born here. He has dual citizenship, me too, and be able to choose where you want to live. So I think that's something that I'm really fortunate.
So I tried to find Paillettes, but I wasn't able to. So can you just confirm?
Oh, yes. That's amazing. So I didn't know they have cheese ones now.
They have lots of different kind of.
Kelly. This should be my sponsor. This is like with olives? With olives too? Wow, this is my dream. So I'm obsessed with olives. Olives and cheese. I used to go to the cinema and I used to get olives instead of popcorn. So that's how Spanish I am. But I used to buy just the red bag because that's the simple ones. But now they turn super modern. So I'm going to have to buy them all. That's really amazing though. You did a great job.
The link between Mallorca, San Clemente, and also your sports, it's the water. So how do you explain this need to be in the water?
I can't. When COVID happened, I was working in Las Vegas, had a dream job, loved it there. I had no question that I just wanted to live in Vegas. It was so easy, comfortable life. And then COVID happened. And then a month later, where you see actually everything is getting worse, I'm like, I need to do something. I really need to get out of here. Almost. So it was like a SOS call. And I have a friend, she's crazy like me. So we took a trip down the beach. And then a month later, we definitely had to drive a few times. And we saw this town called San Clemente. And we're like, let's take a look. Loved it. Fell in love with it. Actually looked so Spanish. Finding a place where you can actually walk to downtown. I felt like I cannot really live like far from the ocean. I can't. Like, yeah, it's not the Mediterranean, but it's beautiful California. But I knew I needed a place where, I can walk and find myself on the ocean. It might have a big meaning for me. I know like my grandma, actually never got to meet her, but she jumped in the ocean. She wasn't, mentally well. So I always felt like that was my connection with her. And my family didn't never explain me much about it, but I know somehow that's like a beautiful connection that I have with her. I just can't spend hours like sitting and watching the ocean, I think it's just my place. So it was meant to be that way. So when I got pregnant, I thought as a good athlete, because of my choice, obviously, I think I'm capable to have, my baby without a epidural and just natural birth. And I met Kimberly, actually, she's French. She's my doula. I needed someone that really understands the European culture. And she told me about the comb, that basically is like when, you are having contractions, you put it here So because when you're pressing, instead of feeling the pain on your contractions, kind of you focus more on the pain on your hand, because it has like literally nerve termination that helps you to just feel more pain on your hand besides your contractions. And obviously it wasn't just the calm, but it was to the knowledge, breathing, informing myself, knowing that I'm capable, like I was capable of, like go to the Olympic games and winning a medal. And when my son was born, that calm was still like there, nowhere. And then I remember saying something like, after this, I can go to 3 more Olympic games. So it's a fundamental piece now, because it has such a big meaning, actually.
And you gave birth in the water, right?
Well, notice I was actually laboring in the water, and because I was a hospital setting, but really like towards natural birth, they let me like have the contractions in the bathtub. I don't really know if it helped, but I just felt more secure there. It's funny how I remember that scene, opening the room, seeing that bathtub filling up with water, and I just didn't think about. I jumped in it. It wasn't even pool. But I just knew one thing: I have to be in the water. And some people says it helps. I don't think I would try any other way now. It's just, I know it was good for me, and I just felt more comfortable there. So bathtub it is.
What is your relationship with your body? I mean, as an athlete, as a woman, after retiring from sports, during your pregnancy, all this.
My relationship with my body, it's a mix of feelings. Obviously, it depends on the season. I am really proud of what I've done because of my body. I had a few surgeries, 2 hip surgeries. I actually had 2 that it helps you to realize, that how delicate it is. And now I stand for myself and for my body. For example, if somebody tells me to go out, I would say, no way. Like, yes, the Marga that used to go out, used to, have a drink, used to, be awake, or the Marga doesn't exist. And you can criticize me as much as you want. I call it like maturity and being able to recognize what is good and not good for your life and for your body and your mind. But one thing I know, it's to have a better day, I need to do something with my body, work out, small exercises, get out, walk, run, whatever it is. That's my religion now.
Speaking of image, what is it like being in the media when you are an athlete? And what is your relationship with the media?
For me, it's always been really comfortable, especially because in Mallorca, they always treated me really well. Since the beginning, I got world champion. All of a sudden, who's Marga Crespí? But then there is moments where I would say in my country, in Spain, they love to bring negativity. And it's something that you really need to have under control, because they like more the gossip than the actual pride of their athletes. If I see it here, I definitely love how the United States are having like their athletes like really, really like in a high stand, like rooting for them, supporting them. But the media is complicated. I feel still nowadays, I don't even understand how they can bring things back of 14 years ago of problems there was, when, just be proud of the work they're doing. These girls, they're still training 10 hours a day. What you have to say about that? So, and nowadays, obviously, with social media, everything can get easily manipulated. It's just a love-hate sometimes.
Why did you choose Instagram, and how do you manage it?
So I chose Instagram because it's a platform I'm more familiar with. I feel because at the end, you can put whatever you like. And I chose that part to communicate about my experience with my sport. Now, especially that I started to do it more. And to show, like basically that you can do it. You can be a mom, an athlete, synchronized swimmer, do a sport, just be a mom. But I just want to motivate people, like enjoy the process. There's going to be ups and downs, and show tricks to how to handle those. So I think it's actually really important, and I don't really filter what I post. I'm not going to post the bad things, but it's really hard to be by ourselves here. And I'll talk about that part if they ask me too. We chose to live in the United States, and I'm happy about it about why I'm here too, and I'm really proud. And I want people that lives maybe far away from their families to let them know that they're not alone. We can just support each other.
So now, technical question.
Yeah.
Easy for you to answer. So can you explain to me the difference between team technical, team free, team combination? And you were in team and in duet, right?
Yes. So in synchronized swimming, now we change a little bit with the new rules, but basically you have team, duet, and solo. Team is 8 goals, duet is 2, and solo is 1 goal. Then inside that, you have technical team and free routine. Technical team means there's a series of elements that you have to do no matter what in the order that you want actually now. So you can, before used to be always in the same order, and that shows your technique inside the choreography. And you cannot really do pairs or mirror movements. For the free choreography, you can actually do whatever you want. Now there is like points, so you have to almost create a choreography, and depends on the difficulty that you put. So more difficulty, probably more choreography with the legs you're gonna put, the lifts, higher lifts, more difficulty lifts, so you probably have more points. But you can create anything.
And do you have a preference between team, duet, free combination?
I don't think they ever asked me that question. All the questions I get asked, but I think I love to swim duet. So it's harder to swim duet than team, because at the end you are seeing more, because it's just 2 goals in the water. So imagine a 50-meter pool. You actually look like 2 dots, depends how far you're looking. So you really need to show your body, your legs. With a team, because it's 8 goals, then it's a little bit more, it's easier, to be all kind of blended together. I love team. I just have so much fun in the team, even if we're suffering in that moment, but it's just a moment that you are suffering together. And I would always love the free choreographies, just because it's the one that you probably put like some creation on yourself, like, oh, can we do this movement? And maybe ends up in the choreography. So you're proud that you kind of added your little choreography there. So I would say a free team, especially because underwater, there's so many things that can happen that nobody knows in just a fraction of a second, that I still love that connection with my teammates.
Do you have any project for the future?
I do have different projects, but now I'm just getting certified in hypopressive. Basically, it's pelvic floor recovery, which I've been doing all my life because of our sport, and it can reduce, a lot of back pain. And I really love how it can help a lot, and such a easy, workout. And I would love in the future to connect with probably like moms, they want to be moms, or postpartum woman that needs recovery, because I've been there and I know my body and how to recover it, and keep connecting with my community, keep growing it. And hopefully, in the future, who knows, I love like swimming with babies too. Would love to do something with that. Because I know how hard it is sometimes to be accessible to a nice pool. So that's the idea. But for now, I'm a full-time mom, so obviously one thing at a time. I cannot really put a lot of things on my list, because otherwise it gets saturated. But that's the idea.
What can I wish you for the future?
That's a good question. You have to wish me something for the future. Honestly, right now, the most important, just still have a family, like a beautiful family like I have now. Like, I think that's the most important, and something I didn't grow with. So something that I'm learning.
So thank you for sharing this moment with us. And feel free to comment this video and explain us how it was to watch it. And see you soon with the next guest. Bye-bye. Thank you, Marga.
Thank you.